Here's the uncomfortable truth as we kick off this year. Now, AI didn't make business harder. It exposed just how much of work really never mattered in the first place. Now, it's 2026. The middle is disappearing, and leaders are being pushed to the edges. I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And this is Small Business Big AI, the podcast where we stop playing defense and start building a technology-enabled superpower.
Strong opener.
It has to be, Hal, because if 2025 felt like running faster just to stay in place, well, then this episode is going to tell you why. The middle is gone, and if you're still standing there, you're about to get crushed.
That's harsh.
Hey, but it's accurate. I mean, this isn't just another tech cycle, Hal. This is a structural break, and most people still don't see it.
All right, so what's happening?
Oh, let me show you. Now, for decades, businesses had three layers. I mean, there was strategy at the top, execution at the bottom, and this massive middle.
Wait, the middle is where everyone lives, Kim. You're talking about most jobs.
I mean, okay, exactly. Coordination, translation, status updates, meeting prep, follow-up emails. That's where entire careers were built.
And you're saying that's just gone?
I'm saying AI evaporated it.
That's terrifying.
It should be, because here's what nobody's talking about. 2025 didn't feel like innovation. It felt like exhaustion stopped paying off.
Because it did. Some people just don't want to see it yet.
Okay, right. So let me give you a real example. Now, you remember Becky from our last 3 episodes? I mean, the displaced Big Four consultant.
Yeah, senior strategist at Deloitte got caught in the October layoffs.
Yeah, and so she's running her own practice now. Brand strategy for, I think it's health tech startups. So 3 years ago, her system was standard consulting playbook, like kickoff call, follow-up email, build a deck, 3 rounds of internal reviews, and then the final handoff.
Solid, thorough.
Yeah, but last month, she rebuilt that entire system in a weekend by herself.
Wait, what?
Yes, Hal. She used AI to draft onboarding sequences, generate client-facing templates, automate her scheduling, and create a resource library that used to take her team of 3 people 6 weeks to compile.
And how's she feeling about that?
Terrified.
Why?
Because nobody believes her when she tells them. Yeah, her clients think that she has an entire team. Other consultants think she's cutting corners. Even she can't shake the feeling that if it was this easy, she must be doing something wrong.
That cognitive dissonance, I'm seeing it everywhere. People know the tools exist. They've tried a few, but, they can't reconcile how much faster things are now with how much effort used to be required to do it.
You're right, because, before we equated effort with value, and really now that equation is broken. Being busy isn't a flex anymore. It's a warning.
Ouch!
So if you're still grinding on tasks that AI can handle in 90 seconds, you're not being thorough. You're being slow. And slow is expensive now.
I'm going to push back on that for a second, Kim. Some people hear that and think, should I just do less?
Well, no, they should do less of the wrong things. So look, what AI actually did wasn't replace people. It replaced the middle. the repetitive steps, the busy work, the grind that we were told was just part of running a business.
And that's where fear creeps in. People think they're being replaced.
Exactly, Hal. So most of us, you and I, like we built our entire professional identity in that middle. We got promoted because we were good at managing the process, keeping things on track, translating between departments, and making sure nothing fell through the cracks.
That skill set?
Hey, it's not valuable anymore. It's expected because it's automated now.
So the people who are struggling right now, they're not bad at the jobs. They're just standing in the wrong place.
Exactly. They're in the middle, and the middle is gone. So here's the line we're going to keep coming back to today. AI handles the middle, humans on the edges.
The edges.
Judgment on the front end, decisiveness on the back end, and everything else, well, automated. Building a technology-enabled superpower isn't about doing more work. It's about amplifying judgment with machine execution.
Which means if you're still bragging about being busy in 2026,
Well, that's not flex anymore.
that's a warning.
Because the bottleneck in your business now isn't money, it isn't headcount, it isn't tools, it's thinking.
Judgment, timing, knowing what actually matters.
And that's where the edge is now.
Okay, so before we walk into what's next, I need you to help me understand something. Because you keep saying the middle is gone, like it's a clean break. But for a lot of people listening, this doesn't feel clean. It feels chaotic.
Well, good. Because that's exactly what it is. 2025 wasn't turbulence, Hal. It was a structural break.
What's the difference?
Well, turbulence is bumpy but predictable. The plane's going to level out. But a structural break is when the floor drops out and you realize you were never standing on solid ground in the first place.
And that's what happened last year.
That's what's still happening. 2025 was the year the old rules stopped working.
So what were the old rules?
Well, for about 20 years, there was a playbook that most companies followed. You know what it was. Marketing ran campaigns, sales qualified leads, growth meant hiring, and if things slowed down, you spent more money or added more people. Now, it wasn't great, but it was predictable.
You could brute force the progress.
Right. Painful? Yes. Inefficient? Absolutely. But it worked just enough to keep people playing.
And that's why this moment feels disorientating. Because the system didn't evolve, it collapsed.
And here's why. The old model depended on three things: high cost, long feedback loops, and outsourced thinking. Campaigns cost tens of thousands. Results took weeks or even months. And most teams, well, they didn't actually learn much because they handed the thinking to agencies, vendors, and platforms.
So the company never built its own intelligence.
Exactly. And growth meant more people, more SDRs, more coordinators, more middle work, slow, linear, predictable. And that was the trade.
So what changed?
AI didn't challenge that model. It broke the economics underneath it. Cost collapse, time collapse, feedback collapse. So campaigns that used to cost tens of thousands can now be run for hundreds. And ideas that took months can now be live in just hours.
And when that happens,
then the bottleneck moves. It's not money anymore. It's not tools. It's not even people. It's thinking, it's judgment, it's decision making, knowing what to test and why.
Whoa, I'm going to push back here again. A lot of leaders think they're thinking strategically.
I know they do.
So, what are they actually doing?
They're speeding up old decisions inside of broken systems.
That's not strategy.
Right. That's acceleration to the bottom.
Okay, give me an example. What does that look like in real time?
All right. So I'm going to give you an example. Now, picture two founders on January the 1st. Now, same industry, same budget, same tools available. So now founder A runs 3 big campaigns, waits for results, reviews, tweaks, repeats. But founder B runs 47 micro tests, gets feedback in hours, adjusts on the fly, compounds learning daily.
And by December,
Founder B didn't just win, they're playing an entirely different game. And founder A only has opinions. Founder B has data.
and that gap is not closing.
You're right. It's widening because learning compounds. Every cycle founder B runs, every test, every iteration, every insight becomes the foundation for the next one. And meanwhile, founder A is still waiting quietly for quarterly reports. The future doesn't reward effort, it rewards decisiveness.
That's the part that people aren't prepared for. We were taught to be thorough, to measure twice, cut once.
And that made sense when iteration was expensive, when testing required months of build time and 6-figure budgets. But now you can test an idea before lunch. So the bottleneck isn't resources anymore, it's decision speed.
So, what does moving faster actually look like?
It means you stop treating strategy like it's sacred. You make a call, you run the test, you watch what happens, and you adjust.
But not all strategies are good.
You're correct, which is why execution is the premium. Strategy used to be the expensive part, but now it's a commodity. You can generate 10 strategic frameworks in an hour. Execution at speed, that requires judgment under uncertainty, and nobody's teaching that.
This is why it isn't a tech conversation.
No, it's a power shift. All right, quick question for everyone listening. Are you treating AI like a faster typewriter, or are you rethinking how work actually gets done? Because here's what Becky figured out. The system she rebuilt in a weekend didn't just save her time, it gave her leverage. She can now deliver the same quality her Big Four team used to deliver, but faster, cheaper, and without the overhead.
And that's what we're walking through at LinkedIn Live this month.
Not theory, but actual deployment, the exact framework that Becky used, the templates, the prompts, the decision trees. So if you're realizing right now that you've been standing in the middle, well, come to the event. The link is in the show notes.
All right, back at it.
So if the middle is gone and humans on the edges, what does the role actually look like? Well, we're calling it the AI orchestrator.
That's the new title.
Hey, it's a brand new job, and it requires a fundamentally different skill set. Here's what it's not, Hal. You're not a prompt engineer. You're not someone who's just really good at talking to ChatGPT. You're the person who knows what needs to happen, can break it into orchestratable task.
Wait a minute, is that a word?
Hey, it is now. And has the judgment to evaluate output fast enough to keep moving.
I've heard other people describe this shift as visionary thinking or creative leadership, but you're more direct. You're saying stop romanticizing it, just decide.
Exactly, Hal, because inspiration without execution, well, that's just very expensive procrastination.
And we don't have time for that anymore.
Hey, no. So look, you can read all the strategy books you want. You can journal about your vision. You can moonboard your brand. But if you can't point at a system and say, this is what we're building and here's what happens next, well, then you're not leading. You're delaying.
That's harsh.
It may be harsh, but it's accurate. The AI orchestrator role isn't about having all the answers. It's about making the call with the information you have and adjusting when you learn more. I mean, that's the skill. And it's the one that most people are simply avoiding.
Why? If it's that straightforward, why aren't more people doing it?
Because it feels reckless, Hal. You know, we were trained to wait, to gather more data, to build consensus, to de-risk. In a world where iteration took months, that made sense. But now, waiting isn't prudent. It's a liability.
So the people who are winning right now?
They're the ones who are comfortable being wrong faster. They test, they break things, they learn, they move.
And the gap between them and everyone else?
Well, it's not closing, it's widening. And by the second quarter, they'll be unreachable.
Okay, so let's talk about Becky again, because she's in that transition right now.
You're right.
She was a Big Four consultant for 12 years. She built her identity around being thorough, being strategic, managing complex stakeholder groups.
Yeah, and now she's solo. And she's realizing that half of what made her valuable at Deloitte doesn't translate anymore.
Because the middle's gone.
Exactly. The middle is gone. But here's what she told me last week. She said, for the first time in my career, I'm not waiting for permission. I'm not building consensus. I'm just moving.
And how does that feel for her?
Well, terrifying and exhilarating at the same time, because she's realizing that the speed she can move at now by herself with AI is faster than her old team could move with all their processes and approvals.
That's wild.
No, that's leverage, and it's only available to people who are willing to own the edges. All right, here's where we are. It's January 2026. People are setting goals, making plans, telling themselves this is the year they finally figure it out.
And what should they be thinking about?
Well, how they should be thinking about whether their goals assume the middle still exists. Because if your 2026 plan is work harder or hire more people or run more campaigns, well, you're planning for a world that ended last year.
So what's the right goal?
Get out of the middle. Own the edges. Build a technology-enabled superpower. That's the goal.
And that starts with a choice.
Right. So right now you're standing at a fork. Now, one path, you keep doing what you've been doing. You use AI as a productivity boost. You automate a few tasks. You save some time.
That sounds reasonable.
I mean, it is. Until the person who rebuilt their entire system in a weekend shows up and takes your client, because they can deliver faster, cheaper, and better, and you're still proud of your process.
Ouch.
I mean, the other path, though, is you rebuild. You stop asking, how can AI help me do this faster? And start asking, what would I build if I didn't have to do any of the middle myself? Now, that's the question that changes everything.
And that path is scarier.
Well, of course it is, because it requires you to let go of the identity that you built in the middle. It requires you to admit that a lot of what you thought was valuable, well, it wasn't. It requires you to get comfortable making decisions before you're ready.
But here's what I'm hearing from you. You're not saying this to be mean. You're saying this because the gap is widening.
Exactly how.
And by Q2, if you haven't moved,
Well, then you'll be watching people like Becky from the sidelines, and you won't be able to catch up. Now, not because you're not smart and not because you're not capable, but because you waited. But here's what the rebuild gives you: leverage. The ability to do what used to take a team by yourself in a weekend. The ability to test ideas in hours instead of months. And the ability to learn faster than your competition can even plan.
that's a technology-enabled superpower.
Hey, that's exactly what it is, Hal.
If this episode is giving you the language for something you feel like you've been working on, like you've been working harder but getting less traction, do us a favor, share it.
Because here's what I'm seeing in the comments and in the DMs and in my LinkedIn messages. People are realizing they've been standing in the middle and they don't know how to move. So that's what we're solving at the LinkedIn Live this month.
We're walking through this exact same system Becky built: the templates, the prompts, the decision framework.
And we're not talking about theory. We're talking about actual deployment, stuff you can use on a Monday morning. So the link's in the show notes. We'll see you there.
All right, let's bring this home. Small step challenge.
All right, not a transformation, not a rebuild, just one small step.
Step 1.
Well, name one place where you're still in the middle, like one task you're doing manually that AI could handle in 90 seconds, or one process you're coordinating that could be automated. One thing that you're staying on top of that doesn't need a human on top of it anymore, and just write it down.
Step 2.
Name one edge you're avoiding. Is it the judgment call? The thing where you keep saying, I need more data before I decide? Or is it the decisiveness? The part where you know what needs to happen, but you're waiting for permission, consensus, or that perfect moment. And write that down too.
And here's the third part.
If you can't name those two things in under 60 seconds, well, then you're not thinking strategically. You're reacting. And reaction is the most expensive posture in 2026.
So what do you do with those two things once you've named them?
You pick one and you move it this week. Not perfectly, not after you've figured out every edge case. You move it, you learn, you adjust. That's the skill.
And once you start stepping out of the middle, even a little, momentum shows up fast.
And not because you're working harder, but because you're finally working where you matter most. AI handles the middle. Humans own the edges. That's your technology-enabled superpower.
If this gave you language for something you've been feeling, share it.
And if you're ready to stop standing in the middle, subscribe. We'll show you how. We're just getting started.
This has been
Small Business Big AI.